Mr. Brimstone, you do know why you're here today, correct? Yes. Now, Mr. Brimstone, we have received a call from an anonymous source that you were one of the employees working on the game titled Incubusnois. Is this correct? Yes, that is correct. Now, could you tell us what was the inspiration for the game? Yes, I will. Now, you may have gotten another interview from the actual developer, but he has not told you everything. When Polysburgh Gaming Tech in 1970 was coming up with an idea of a new game to release, or to make, we had absolutely no ideas. We had a few plots in the drawing bin, but that was about all. None of them were really interesting. None of them really spoke out. Then one day, the CEO of Polysburgh Gaming Tech had introduced us to a man. He said that this would be the developer of a new game. We were very confused, me and my team. This man would then come up with the idea of a game named Incubusnois, and gave us some storyboards, some drawings, some artwork, anything you need to make a game. But one thing that stood out was this odd piece of machinery. It looked very high-tech at the time. It didn't even look like it was from the 70s. So we tested it out, and it could run, well, CGI. It could run pre-rendered graphics, it could run 3D objects. It was the best, and the best thing about it is that it was very high definition. It was very hard to count the pixels. While we were working on the game, a few months later, this developer would come into the room and say that we needed to sort in the game, which was weird even though we could make a long game. He said that the deadline was by next year, which was also very strange. When we asked him what gave him this decision, he said he got this information and this new order from an anonymous source. Now, Prince Stoney, in another interview that we did with the developer of the game, he stated that it was based on true events. Could you perhaps tell us more about that? Okay, well, you see, when I mentioned about that anonymous source that I told you about just a few seconds ago, the anonymous source had supposedly, throughout the entirety of the game's development, over the course of 1 year, had been sending the developer newspapers about missing incidents, killings, kidnappings, etc., etc. And one of the employees was snooping around the files, the firewall, and he had discovered that all of these incidents, all of those kidnappings, etc., etc., had all been linked to one murderer. His name was Bernard Frankson. He had sold me one of the newspapers, and in the corner of the newspaper, it had shown a picture of Bernard Frankson. He looked exactly like the man that we had put in the game. And we had even found out that someone had renamed the file to Bernard Frankson. They tried to keep this under wraps. They put his name as Strange Man in the manual that we would have to make later on. So what you're saying is that this game was based off of murderings and kidnappings from a mass serial killer? I'm afraid so, yes. So you... Yes, that is correct. Hey, who are you?